This is the Lucy Beatrix podcast. On my show, I interview some of the most hopeful, striving, and determined people I can find. And today I have a really special guest, one of my longest friendships I've ever had.
Wow.
Here in New York City, Hillary Jones.
Thank you so much, Lucy. I'm so excited to be here.
Just doing my little intro, I'm like, oh my God, it's Hillary. Like, I'm going to start laughing hysterically because it's very different than regular guests, because so many people I have on, I guess Dan is a good friend, but like, you know me better than anyone ever. Because our friendship started when I moved to New York City. And go ahead and tell everybody how we met.
All right. Well, before we even met, I think I knew Lucy from afar. You had some little like website blog thing where you talk about your like modeling situations, and I was like, oh, interesting. I think I've seen this model at the yoga studio I go to. And lo and behold, it was you. And to my surprise, you came up and talked to me. Like, you introduced yourself like after a class, and that's how our friendship formed way back in like 2011, was it?
Yeah. And like, I think about lone wolf origin stories really resonates because we're both lone wolves. We both have our own like way of existing in the world. And I like had a feeling that we would be friends even before we met. Like, I saw you around.
I didn't. And like, I was so nervous when you came up to me and I was like, why is this cool girl talking to me? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the yoga studio, so we used to go to this yoga studio in the East Village. It's no longer around. But back in the day, I didn't have people that I saw every day. I just had modeling, which was like random jobs of like every day is a different shoot, random set and crew. Maybe you see some of the same models sometimes, or some of the same photographers or my agents, but I didn't have people that I just saw every single day the way normal people would be had in college or something, because I was just working. But the yoga studio became that for me. It was like my social connection.
Yeah.
And I saw you all the time, and I figured, okay, we both see each other at this studio all the time. Let's be friends. And so that's why I like came up to you. But I think it's especially funny that because I'm awkward, and I especially was awkward back then, I remember emailing you and like sending you, I don't even know how I got your email address. Did I look it up online or something?
No, I think I might have emailed you because I found your email on your website.
Yeah, and we did a back and forth. I wish I still had this message, but we did like a back and forth friendship introduction of, this is my life story.
Right.
Tell me about yourself. And it was like, I just remember being in this.
What were we doing? Were we like just like trying to like connect?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so. And I just remember I was doing this modeling job, and I was sitting in the changing room between outfits. Like, I just was like taking my time in the changing room, writing my email to you. And like, I felt like my life depended. Like, I'm like writing, I was like editing, okay, like this is what happened. And then I came to New York, and, you know, I love the yoga studio, and just trying to like sell myself of like this, let's be friends.
Right. And I was doing like the same thing. And like, I guess I passed because after that email, you were like, hey, do you want to go to like Mud Coffee sometime and like chat?
Yes. Yeah, Mud Coffee was the coolest place to hang out. I think it's still there, but I feel like back then the vibe before Instagram and stuff, it was just such a scene. And so I was like, we have to go to Mud. And but then the rest is history. And I feel like I talk to you more than anyone, and I have consistently talked to you more than anyone in my life the past 15-ish years. And consider you chosen family. Like, we're not related, but I feel like we're related.
I mean, we at this point we basically are, because while our origin story started at the yoga studio, it evolved through like many eras, many life eras, and many exercise eras.
Oh my
so
gosh,
that's actually a good segue. So started out being in the cult of yoga, and then you became famous runner.
Not famous, but yeah, like got obsessed with running. Yeah.
I got obsessed with walking because I don't run, but
that was also a common denominator.
That was a common denominator.
Yoga studio days both of us were really diehard going to yoga every single day.
Multiple classes
for
per
me,
day.
It was a couple of classes a day,
Yeah.
hour long, sometimes hour and a half, depending on if it was the
90-minute
hot studio.
special.
And
yeah.
but like the thing that I think we both had in common back then, besides the yoga practice, was we were extremely disciplined about walking surrounding that. And like we would meet up and go on these long, crazy
The bridge walks.
walks.
We really had a bridge walking era.
Where before I found running, I was walking probably the same amount of mileage of at least 10 miles a day, just walking all around the city, across every bridge, sometimes 3 bridges in a day, as many as I can possibly go.
We had like a special weekend walk where we did the Williamsburg Bridge and then the Pulaski Bridge after we walked like all through Greenpoint.
Yeah.
And then there was this little bodega in Long Island City where we'd get like one thing.
We would go on these epic excursions
walks.
that were like,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to go, we'd plan it for like the whole week. And then on the weekend, it's like, okay, we're going to go on this long walk, hit the bridges, go up to this one bodega that has this one kind of rice cake or whatever it was that we were getting.
And the alter ego truffle things.
Yeah. And then just like make a day out of it.
Yeah.
And it was like a combination of talking and just like, I don't know, there was something like really magical about that time period for me because it was before I knew I could run. And walking was like the foundation for then getting into running.
Right. And we got to like experience so many little pockets of New York and
yeah, because you see the same people. We always talk about this, but like there are a few other brave souls that walk the way that we did, and we would recognize them and see them. Like there was this one woman we always saw on the Williamsburg Bridge that you and I both independently had like a little cahoots wave.
The
Like,
knowing
we're
nod.
always
The
walking.
knowing nod.
Yeah,
Yes.
the knowing nod. So it is funny to think that like we had that in common. That was like our thing. Like we love walking.
We love walking.
But we also had this really unique thing that you're one of the only people that I've ever like encountered in my life that had this thing of, to call it like, I guess the best way to call it is like the scarcity mindset or like the art of extremely frugal living in New York City that is one of a kind, where you go out of your way to these specific bodegas because they have the brand of rice cakes that's like a couple dollars cheaper,
or like 50 cents. Let's be real.
Exactly, like the Arctic Zero. Remember, when I was living in Greenpoint, it's like I'd go walk 2 miles to get this one, get the Arctic Zero, even though I could buy it by my place, but I would save like 50 cents. So might as well make a trip out of it.
No, we have that very like scrappy mindset, if you will, which I do think, you know, now that I'm older and wiser and have been to some therapy, I think we both had like unsettled youths and like
and then found our way in New York,
engaging in those kinds of behaviors, it gives you like a little sense of control and it makes you feel like you really are like being responsible and like gonna make it.
At the end of the day, it's New York City. And I remember when I first moved to New York, I was in the modeling world. And so there's a lot of people who are coming from different backgrounds and different like levels of wealth, and how they lived in New York was very different. Like there just was a range of how people can live in New York. Like some people take cars to all their castings and some people just can afford to like bring their partner on a job with them and or like have a chaperone or something, like because they can afford to have that extra person with them at all times. And I feel like there's like a version of moving to New York where you're kind of just flying by the seat of your pants.
Yeah, if you don't have something set up, like I'm not in the modeling industry, but I graduated during a recession and did not have a job lined up, but wanted to be in New York, did not know a soul really. There were a couple people from college I kind of knew. And I mean, you just, when you are moving into like that sort of uncertainty, you do want to go to the further bodega to save the 50 cents because it just makes you, just gives you a little bit more peace of mind.
Yeah, and like that, like making it work mentality in New York. Like I remember when I moved to New York, there were times where like jobs, maybe it was like I had a great season and then suddenly there are no jobs. And it's like that kind of living where you're just kind of paycheck to paycheck, like hoping you're going to be able to make this astronomical rent. It makes you a certain type of person. And but like if you know how to be frugal and find, like I remember at some points it's like finding the apartment that's like the cheapest apartment And maybe it's not perfect, but at least I know I'm not going to like be like strapped for cash for rent. And like, yeah. Because I know when you first moved to New York, you were like in that East Village place.
No, I was actually in Borough Park, Brooklyn, which is a whole
you were
another
far.
story. Yeah. No, the East Village did not happen until I had a job and knew what I was doing-ish.
Yeah. So tell us how what brought you to New York, and like where were you before and what brought you to New York City?
So I actually grew up on the West Coast and I went to school in Eugene, Oregon, and I had no desire to come to New York at all. Like it really didn't cross my mind. I thought that I'd graduate and move to San Francisco or someplace like that. And then I was kind of forced to come to New York my senior year of college to do this thing with a capstone program. And I didn't really like get a ton out of that, but just like being in the city, I was like, oh my gosh, like it's amazing here. And it wasn't just amazing in that it was like a cool place to visit, but the first time in my entire life, I was like, wow, I feel like I like belong here. Because even though I grew up on the West Coast, like I never really felt like I belonged. So I had like no reason to move to New York at all, but I also just felt like I had no reason to move anywhere else. And New York was like the only place that called to me. And I just figured like I'd move and see what happens.
Yeah, I totally get that. I feel like when I was in high school, I think I was going into my sophomore year of high school. So right before modeling started, my family went on a trip to Boston and we drove through New York for one day. We went to New York and like just we're kind of walking around, and we went to Central Park, and I just remember thinking, I don't know how I'm going to end up here, but I'm going to be in New York City.
I had that feeling too. When I was like, I was in Union Square and then I got kind of lost, and I was like walking through like the East Village and the Alphabet, probably past the yoga studio, towards the Lower East Side, trying to find the F train. And I was just like, I can't believe people live here. Yeah. Like I want to live
it's
here.
Amazing.
Like, yeah. And then, you know, like a couple years later, I'm living where I like walked by and was like, I can't believe people actually lived here. Like then I was one of those people. I'm sure you experienced that too.
Yeah, where it just like, I just knew I was going to end up in New York. And so when I finally got the opportunity with modeling, I was like, this is going to happen for me. And then I even thought like, well, even if modeling doesn't work, I'll get a job. I'll be in New York where then I can get a job in a coffee shop or something. Like I was planning ahead, thinking like no matter what happens. Luckily, modeling worked out for a long time, but like I had this idea of like, okay, well, I'm still gonna be in New York.
I had that mentality too. I was like, I'll just figure it out. Like I'll get a whatever job if I have to. And like that's similar to like the, you know, frugal, like scrappy mindset. Like you're gonna make it work.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting when we come from the kind of family or like upbringings that we both have, where we were like different lone wolf people from like the start. At least I know I was, where it's like I knew in middle school and in elementary school and in high school that I was different and like didn't quite fit in with everyone, and I didn't have this same like life plan of this the traditional normal thing. I just wanted to go be around like other weirdos and like cool creative people where anyone can be anything, and like that was also really appealing, and like
that was appealing to me too.
Different groups and
like
friends.
I feel like I never had a group like growing up. I was always like I had friends, but like never like a friends group. I was always like a little bit on the outside. I always kept people like a little bit at arm's length, and I think that's like when I moved to New York, like part of that like feeling of I belong here is like, oh, all these like other weirdos are here, like these are my people. And even though like I don't know them yet, like I know that they're my people.
I also liked how like age didn't exist in New York, and like what I mean by that is even especially at the yoga studio, like back in the day, I was thinking about this morning of having friends of every age group. Like I had friends that were in their 40s, and I had friends that were in their 20s, and I had friends like all different age groups. Like age isn't real. Like everyone's just friends with each other. And I'm sure that happens in other cities in the world. But there was something about New York that was really appealing because it's like there's not like your circle can expand through
your circle
so
can
many
expand, and I
groups.
feel like the like traditional life stages are like either bypassed or like I don't know, they're they're not as like structured
Yeah.
as other places. It's like more fluid.
I think this became so much more obvious to me when I was in Austin, when I took my little
leave of
sabbatical.
absence.
I
had one of those too.
Was like, what are you doing? I'm like, Texas is amazing. He's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, all roads led me back to Florida media, which, you know, like I came back to New York. I'm like, I couldn't be away from New York for too long. But when I was in Texas, I remember meeting some interesting people, and that was pretty cool, like different like runners and stuff. But like that thing didn't exist, of just like having so many different worlds overlapping each other, of all different types of people at all times, if you want, versus like the isolation in New York City is actually kind of nice sometimes. Like if you're just home in your apartment on a weekend when it snowed, it's like, oh, I can have some alone time. But if I want, I can go be social with my friend who lives down the street, or I can go to the coffee shop and be around strangers, but feel like there's people around. Whereas like in Texas, being isolated is really isolating. Like you're in a house, and there's like, it's just a different thing. And so I know, as like somebody who is a mix of introvert and extrovert, like depending on the day, it's nice to be able to have a place like New York where you can be an introvert but then still get your fix with like something social, like even if it's not like,
and there's so many more options with like third places, like the yoga studio, for example, or just like being out and about, like in a park or in a coffee shop.
And just seeing, like, I even now going to the gym, I have a really good friend who goes to the same gym as I do, and we don't really hang out outside of the gym, but when we see each other at the gym, it's like a huge powwow catch up.
I have some gym friends
It's
too.
like this thing where we automatically have time that we're like gonna be hanging out. And so just seeing them at the gym.
You know, people who haven't been to New York, they always think or ask me like, aren't people like really rude there? And I'm like, actually, some of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life are New Yorkers.
Yeah. I also think that there's something about whenever you leave, people outside of New York don't know how to take this in. Like they have no idea what the heck I am. Like I feel like I just don't make sense, because they're like, well, you didn't go to college, so what do you do? And oh, you were a model, what does that even mean? And so it's like this weird thing where I'm like, no, like there are people who had the kind of life that I did. It's very normal here to meet like a random model and be like, oh yeah, okay, you were a model, you were in some industry thing, whatever. So yeah, I feel like you can belong here easier than anywhere else.
Yeah, you don't get questioned. Like people don't care.
Yeah.
You know, which is refreshing.
Yeah. So yeah, New York has also changed a lot since like when we were running around. Because I feel like pre-social media New York was also really different.
It was the Wild West.
It was the Wild West, and it was so cool. Like the parties, everything was so different because it wasn't about showing everyone
it
what
wasn't
you're doing.
it wasn't for the gram. It was just like living, and I do feel like it was a lot more like living in the moment, and people were like not curating their like personal brand barf as much as they are now.
When I hear personal brand, it still like makes a little part of me die, because I just think, ew, don't just be cool. Don't have a brand. Like I think that's such a lame thing. And even I think about it with myself, where when I put up stuff on my social media, I'm always thinking like, oh, does this fit like runner, model, whatever? And I don't want to think that way. I just want to have it be what it is. But yeah, like the New York experience was so fun in Williamsburg in 2012.
Before Williamsburg got like there were Whole Foods and
exactly. That's like the time. Like I was there living on Bedford Avenue right at the turn, and you came to that old apartment,
the loft.
Oh my God. The craziest memories of all time in that loft, where it was dirt cheap. All the roommates, the walls are just like kind of like randomly put together, haphazard. There's water coming through the ceiling. But it was so much fun.
Above Food Town.
Yeah. Those were such.
Yeah, because that was like our pit stop, like between bridges.
Yeah. And still in my drinking days, and I just have a lot of memories of all the fun parties. But yeah, I feel like our New York experiences were so. Like, I just think of New York as like a personality or like a character in part of our lives.
I do too.
Especially in those days, and like the bridge walks and stuff, just like thinking of how important it was to have that backdrop. But both of us left. Like
We
I went to
both left.
Texas. Why did you leave New York? And what was that whole
I don't know what I
excursion?
was thinking. I was at a point where I'd been I was like a 29, I think. So I had been there a minute and I was like, I don't know, guys. Like I'm almost 30. Like maybe the jig is up and I should just,
I feel like we all get to
give
that
up.
point. Yeah.
And I really thought like, okay, like maybe like the West Coast will be like more chill and like, I don't know, balance, like nature. Like, let's see what that's like for a minute. It did not go well. It was fine. Like I'm glad I did it because it did teach me that like I had no business leaving New York. And I was not in New York when the pandemic hit, and then I sort of moved back mid-pandemic, which was an interesting experience. But I will say, as tough as being away from New York was, it made me like love my life so much more now. I think about this a lot.
So
like
do I.
a bad day in New York is still better than like a good day in Portland, which is
Yeah.
like scary. And I'm not trying to sound like elitist or like
Right.
whatever. It just, Portland was not the place for me, just like Austin wasn't the place for you.
Right. Yeah. It's such an interesting thing how it like reinstilled how much I loved and missed New York, and getting off the plane and seeing the city skyline and be like, thank God I'm home. But
I know.
Yeah.
I remember the summer that I was thinking about moving back, I planned a little week-long visit just basically to hang out with you and just like reaffirm my decision that I needed to move back. And I remember like landing at JFK and like wanting to kiss the ground.
Yeah. It's such a magical feeling.
It is a magical feeling.
Yeah. So we should get into
What we're up to now, like this, like
what?
like since we've been back, like because I feel like we had like the move and then we both had a moment where it's like, okay, you can take us out of New York, but you can't take the New York out of us. So we moved back, and now things are very different.
Yes.
Because we're old now.
We've
and
changed.
We don't live in
We're not the
lofts.
young kids running around the city anymore.
We're not doing so many bridge walks.
Right. And like, it's just the city has changed. It's very different. It's so much more, it feels more crowded in the areas that like used to be sparse and.
Yeah. And like some things feel like more basic, which is annoying.
Well, you had said something yesterday about like all the, like, I mean, we're transplants, but like the transplant thing of like just all the people that are just like taking over, that they don't get it, where you're like, okay, this is how it works. Like move when you're on the train.
I think people who moved to New York post-pandemic are a different breed of transplant than those who moved before the pandemic.
I agree. I also feel like as someone who was here during the pandemic, you have a certain camaraderie of what that was like because it was so crazy. But yeah, that all said about New York, we both love New York so much. But the other big common denominator between you and I that I think the audience would be very curious about is how we've transitioned from extreme yoga practitioners to extreme ultra walkers to now two of the most unhinged stair climbers of all time. Because Hillary here is the only other person on the planet I know who does stairs in the same intensity, well, the more intensely and more aggressively than myself or literally
I wouldn't
anyone.
say more intensely or aggressively than you.
Well, let's just paint this picture for people. Okay. A lot of people out there are like, stair climbing. What's that even? I know, like I'll do it 10 minutes sometimes and it's hard. So stair climbing is the way that we do it. We will do hour pieces traditionally. For Hillary,
That is the default.
almost every single day.
Yes.
And the thing that you gauge for like how far you go, like with running, it's like miles, like 10 miles a day or 9 miles in an hour every day, or whatever the hyperfixation of the month is.
Yeah.
But for stairs, it used to be that our end all be all crazy thing was 400 floors.
Okay, you need to back up just a minute because maybe that was your end all be all. But when I first started the stairs, you actually inspired me too, because I wasn't able to walk much because I had a foot injury. But like for some reason, like doing the stairs was like, okay, like I don't really know the like sports science behind that. Anyway, you were like, oh, I do like 400 blah blah an hour. I was like, okay, cool, Lucy. And I was like, I'm gonna just give it 20 minutes. And it took me 20 minutes to do like 100 floors, and I thought I was gonna die. And I was like, I don't know how Lucy does the 400, but one thing does lead to another.
And then it became, the baseline was like 400 floors in an hour was that was kind of
that was like
thing.
how you knew you were like an athlete.
Did I say that to you? I think
I remember the first time. I remember it was and it was like a little over a year ago. It was
disregard the 244 marathon or any of
it was January of 2025, and it was like my literal birthday, and I finally broke 400 floors in an hour, and I texted you a screenshot so you would believe me of it, and you immediately wrote back and you were like, wow, this is a huge athletic achievement. She did. It is.
Yes.
But I mean, that's past.
So
We're
times have changed. So basically, okay, so the 400 floors in an hour thing, that took years of me supplementing with running and then doing stairs like a couple times a week. I finally got to the 400 floors in an hour a couple years ago. And then building upon that, about a year ago, I took it further, and I remember it was exactly a year ago, like a week ago, I did 416 floors in an hour.
Which was about what I was doing.
And that was also like, okay, we've gone into this other...
The 400 and teens.
Yeah, 400 and teens club.
Yeah.
And then lately, partially I feel like because of the weather
for me.
Because I don't want to be running in this.
The weather, unlike the cortisol.
Yeah, it's been a whole other level of 450 floors. You got 454.
I did.
And I'm 453.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, if you know anything about stairs, which a lot of people probably like hear this and they're just hearing like random numbers. The same
it
way,
means
like,
nothing.
Yeah. But it's a lot. And it's 120 steps per minute-ish for the 450 club.
Right.
Which is kind of how you also gauge it, is like steps per minute.
Steps per minute.
So, yeah, because 400 is like 104 steps per minute or something. But anyway, yeah. So like...
Which seems like so like nothing. Like, do you even count
that's
that
like
anymore?
That's chilling now. But it is cool to see how our personal competition with ourselves and
because it's not us competing against each other.
Yeah.
It's like
the
us,
machine, us knowing, because we don't have anyone else to really compare it to. Like, there are a few people out there that like, there's a really fast runner named Felicia Pasadena who does the stairs a lot. She's always posting about being on the stair climber. And so I see that. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
cool.
I see people post like 425 in an hour, like on social media. Like the 420 club does seem to be like
it exists.
a thing. Yeah.
But the people who make it their life's mission to do stuff like 450 floors in an hour, like the way we do, unless the other thing about us is when we do it every single day. Like, it's like, it's become.
Yeah, I mean, could I just give my hot take now?
Yes.
I kind of like don't think that rest days like work for me. That's my hot take. No rest days ever.
Well, it is interesting that you say that, because I took a rest day last week. I don't know what was. It was my birthday. I took a rest day the day before my birthday, and then when I got on the stair climber the next day, it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah,
because I was fighting for. And I think there was something about like psychologically being like cold. Like, I don't know. Like, you almost keep your body warm by doing it a lot, and then it like acclimates you, and so then when you take a rest day, it like makes it harder to like break through that whatever.
I mean, just so I don't get canceled on like my first time ever, I do think if you're injured or sick or like need a rest day, you take it. I'm just like not that
for your own experience.
For my own experience, like they don't work for me, because then the next day I'm like, oh, I don't want to do it. Versus like if I just do it every single day, then it's just like what I do. Yeah. It's just like the same with like my writing practice. Like I need to write every single day. Otherwise, like it doesn't work.
That's what's worked for you. And the funny thing is that that's how I feel about running. When I got fast or like got competitive, I made like a video. I actually like made this video private on YouTube, even though it has like 72,000 views. But basically I said I ran 10 miles a day every day for 3 years. And I made it private because I got so many comments that were like, no, you didn't show the receipts, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, actually it was more than that. It was more than that. And it was also because I had this thing, it's maybe a little bit of an obsessive thing, was I'm going to do this every single day to normalize it so it doesn't feel like a lot. Because the first time I ever ran 10 miles, I thought that felt like so much, but maybe if I do it every day, it won't feel like so much.
It's been like that with everything. Because I remember the first yoga class I ever took, I was like, whoa, like how do people have a daily yoga practice? What is that?
Yeah.
But then you do it every day and it's just like your body, like I feel like my body has like kind of come to crave that level of movement and I don't feel good when I don't do that. And also I do think that the reason like I keep coming back to it every single day is like not even just the physical benefits, but it's been like so key to like maintaining somewhat of a decent like mental health state.
Yes. Okay. But like, I'm going to have to stop you. And I know you just said that your hot take is that you don't believe in rest days. But I happen to know you pretty well, and I'm curious about your thoughts on how exercise is a conspiracy theory.
Oh, it kind of is.
So, okay, exercise is a conspiracy theory. So, back up. Hillary and I have a lot of, I don't know what we would call it, like vocab words or like things that are like topics that we have like theses on.
We have like a language of our own.
Literally, like we have a dictionary with like our own
lexicon.
And one of the things that you and I have talked probably for, I don't know, 1,000 hours on is whether or not exercise is a conspiracy theory. And if you don't understand what we mean by that, this idea that maybe exercise is more of like a mental thing versus the actual calories you burn, calories you eat, blah, blah, blah. Like it's not about that as much as it is just like a mental thing. Because I've noticed like with myself, sometimes like I don't know, I feel like my body when I'm going through periods where I'm not exercising and I'm just like walking or like having like an active lifestyle, I have more energy to use towards the other things like making music or writing, and it all kind of like evens out. So if I'm in like the trenches making like lots of songs in one day, or like I'm just like in my bed writing all day, I'm using the same amount of energy as I would towards a really hard stair climb or run.
Yeah, I've looked into like the science too. And also when you're taking a day when you're like not doing the stairs, like your body's like using all the energy it would have used on the stairs to like repair your cells or like do other things like that. So it's just like the energy, it'll like find a way to like,
because even like I think about when I went to Europe when I was a model a long time ago, this was, I'm talking like 2007. And maybe people are gonna be like, this is not true. But I feel like it was really weird to just go on a run in a random place. I'm sure
Europeans don't really like run.
Right?
Like
okay, so like
do.
I just remember being in Athens and the idea of like putting on some shoes and going on a run would be really strange.
Yeah, it's like a cultural thing. Like I do think it is interesting because the United States is like obsessed with like going to gyms and going on diets, but like everyone's freaking obese. But in France, gyms literally close because people don't go and they eat like fattening foods, but they're like
but they're walking around, or they're like way more connected with like the process of cooking and stuff,
and they're not eating like garbage food. They're eating real food.
Because I always think about that.
All of that makes so much more of a difference than exercise. Like you can't outrun a bad diet or whatever that thing is. And I think that that's why we think that exercise is a conspiracy
Well, it also
theory,
goes back to the adrenaline cortisol thing that we talk about a lot, which this is something I swear by. But when I'm in the trenches of marathon training and I'm running 100-mile weeks, I feel like everything is just kind of like at this state of like high stress. And then I'm just extremely hungry, but not in like the way where it's like, oh, refuel after you run. It's just like, no, it's like endlessly not satiated.
And like you can't get satisfied by like any amount of food. And it's not just because of the exercise, it's because of the stress, it's because of the lack of sleep.
And cortisol.
It's because
and it just like makes me in this like certain mode. So I feel like when I have like really specific like a time for exercise, it's like, okay, it's like an hour-ish. Not really going too far over that, or like maybe a little under is okay, but like that's kind of just the amount. versus like several hours a day and then being like exhausted all the time and then
you
eating
don't
everything.
and if you're like burning out that hard, then you don't have time for music, you don't have time for writing, you don't feel like cleaning,
and
like
the quality of the workouts, like I
Yeah.
always think about quality over quantity, where it's like I'd rather run fast for shorter time than just do tons of slow miles that don't get me faster. Like I was saying with the stairs, where it's like I'd rather just do a really quality session than just do 2 hours of like kind of slow stairs.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like an efficiency thing. Like, especially like work's busy, you have other things to do. I just like don't want to like have to work out for 3 hours if I could get like the same amount of bang for like.
And mentally, I think like our minds can only take so much focus like on something hard. And so if I tell myself like, okay, an hour, you can do anything for an hour, just like stay in it. Like this is hard, but it's only like 45 more minutes. Just stay in it for this hour, and then you can like chill. That there's something about that it's a lot harder to do it for 2 to 3 hours to like to have that same kind of like intense focus.
Right.
But
and when you do knock out that hour, as we do, then the whole rest of your day somehow becomes more manageable all of a sudden. And I think there's something that we both really resonate with like the mental game of that, and being like, okay, like I did this hard thing, I can do other
everything
hard
else is
things.
gonna be easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And another hot take, I think there's actually studies on this too, is like exercise being like as effective, if not more effective than like antidepressants or anti-anxiety drugs. And I do, again, listen to your doctor. If you need to take that, please take it. I do think that those things can come in really handy. But what I noticed is like anti-anxiety medicine, for example, like it might like numb the anxiety, whereas like exercise, it not only kind of mutes the anxiety, but it also like
Purges the demons.
Purges the demons for sure. But no, it actually like it works even better for me, because it not only like numbs the anxiety because of like the endorphins and stuff, but it also like sends me the mental message that like I'm capable, I've got this. Exercise is like one of the only things that like does that.
It does that for me too. And I always talk about how with modeling, when I first got into exercise, it was started with yoga and then with the running and now with the stairs. It gave me this thing where if I started my day on that note, like I did something hard today, everything else feels manageable and easy because I have this thing that I can be proud of. And no one even needs to know what I did. I just feel good about it.
Yeah, that's why I do it. And it's interesting because people are always asking me, like, why don't you like sign up for something? Like, why don't you do a race? Like, why don't you do like a stairs
race to the top of the Empire State Building?
I am just like not in it to
it's not about
do that.
External validation. It's
I don't need
personal.
to prove anything to anyone. Like I don't even like have a Strava. Like that's how like off the grid I am.
Yeah, I feel like with mine, since no one even knows what these workouts mean, I like put it down for myself, like, oh, I did this in this thing.
Well, I do record mine in my notes app.
Yeah,
but like,
and I usually just text you as soon as I'm done and say what I did. But it is just such a personal thing. And I feel that way with the running community, which is why I feel like we are so close, even though you're not a runner.
Definitely not.
Is that I don't care about the validation from everyone else thinking, oh, you're fast, you ran this race.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I like to know it for myself, but I don't need to show it. It's nice to get the validation sometimes, like, oh, I ran this marathon and people respected that time.
Right.
But I also just know that I'm training for my life, for to feel good day to day. And I often feel the best when it's just like that personal growth mindset versus like for something, you know, on a calendar or whatever in the right context. But
yeah, because if you're just doing it for like the accolades and to check a box, then like when you're done with that time, then why would you ever run again?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so it's just nice to think that there are people like you out there that just, we do it for ourselves and that we know like what it means. And yeah, it's like a special little club that we're in.
Unhinged story hour now?
Unhinged story hour. We have had a lot of unhinged eras in our lives. Me publicly. I feel like yours were like people didn't know, but I always put all my stuff out on social media.
Well, you actually have people who follow you on Instagram. I have like 30 people that watch my stories.
So we shared unhinged eras, but mine were like so much more like public feedback times.
Yeah.
But do you remember, speaking of the loft, my fruitarian moment?
Oh, could you tell us about the durian? Because I need a refresher.
I was thinking about this where we've both had a lot of phases with like fueling.
Right.
And now that we do such an intense kind of exercise practice, our fueling is very specific to like what's going to get us to our goals, you know, like what's going to give us the energy to go strong and go hard on the stair climber or running or whatever. But for me, I remember the summer that I got really obsessed with fruitarian dieting. And I had this like thought in my head that like food can't be cooked. It has to be raw.
You did the raw till.
And I had followed all these like YouTubers that were talking about this that were just kind of like all over the place.
Yeah.
And I mean, very compelling, very interesting.
Yeah.
But maybe
like,
not the best
Freely
advice.
the banana girl.
Yeah,
Maybe don't take health
100%,
advice.
30 bananas a day. Yeah. And so I basically went through this raw food era, but it was also partially because I had actually just started to get into running and I got injured. I hurt my shin. I had a shin stress fracture. So I was back to just like walking lightly. Right. And so I would make some of my excursions to Chinatown and buy durians because durians, for some reason, the fruitarian community were like the end all be all perfect
Interesting
food. And so a durian, if anyone doesn't know what a durian is, durian is like this big spiky fruit. It has like this shell that's extremely spiky, kind of like a pineapple, but like more spikes. Yeah. And you have to know how to like hack this thing open, crack it open. And the inside is this really creamy white flesh.
And don't they smell just awful?
They smell horrible.
Yeah.
They're banned from hotels in Thailand because they're like, these things smell too bad and they make the rooms smell horrible. Yeah. But anyway, so I had my fruitarian era and made a point to go to this one stand in Chinatown and get these durians.
And you filmed yourself opening it up
floor.
and like eating them.
Yeah,
and
I
like
did
it was a very like primal moment. I remember you narrating the experience and like
filming yourself eating. That was such a phase too.
That was a phase.
It was a 2016 thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the fruitarian moment, I remember like convincing myself the convincing myself that nothing can be cooked or it like doesn't count. Yeah. Even though, or like cooked food is bad for you, even though like civilization has been eating cooked food for thousands of years since fire was invented. Right. And so
some food is actually like easier to digest when it's cooked and you're getting more nutrients.
Like broccoli. Yeah. So I just like think about like how all of this was because I just was trying to experiment and learn like these like I'd hear something and be like, oh, that must be true. I'm going to try it. But like in that health fringe era, the same time as the durian, I did the thing of sleeping on a yoga mat.
Oh, I've done that too.
Because I just thought that like beds were bad.
Yeah. They might be.
Beds are bad for you. Like you're weak if you're sleeping on a bed. So I had my yoga mat and I was just like pull the sheet up and be like, okay. And my hips would be hurting in the morning.
Yeah.
But like I feel like it's funny how like I don't think normal people have those kinds of phases.
I don't think so either. I did not have a durian phase, but I did have like a mini Freely the banana girl phase where mine was, I do think it came from like the like scarcity mindset. Bananas are really cheap. They're like 20 cents a piece. 100%. So I was like, I could just eat like 5 a day and then like that's kind of fine. It's like $1 a day. Like I'm good.
Yeah, seriously.
But that was also when I wasn't exercising much. I was just walking a bit, a yoga class
so you
here
don't
or there.
feel it as hard.
Yeah, I feel like.
And you're young. Like I remember we were both in our 20s doing these things, like when I was doing my fruitarian thing. Yeah. And I'm thinking like, wait, I think that if I tried that now, I would pass out.
No, I wouldn't be able to do like a regular flight of stairs.
Even one day fruitarian. I don't even know if I would make it. So it's crazy to think that I went, I don't know, however many years of just like having just fruit and then vegetables and
and like you would like count like a handful of cashews as like a protein source.
It was a different time.
That was a different era.
But I feel like our bodies can take it when we're younger. I'm not saying people should do this when they're in their 20s, but like, but for some reason I could just get through and survive. But yeah, it's crazy to think about. But did you have any besides the bananas? What was your other unhinged era?
So I've mainly been like a plant-based vegan, but I did have a moment in Portland. This was after I was in a car accident and I was super weak. And I really needed like protein for obvious reasons.
To rebuild your body.
Yeah, that. And I remember like hobbling to this health store to get like a protein powder, like the hemp protein. That was an era.
Yeah, we were both quite obsessed.
Yeah. And they didn't have it, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. And like I got back home and like I had like a stack of sardines that somebody gave me like during like it was like a pandemic era, like stock up, because like
do you remember when I left the sardines by your door?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
quick aside. Yeah. Many sardine moments between us.
We've had a lot of sardine memories.
Have had some sardine. For being vegan, I have like a lot of like sardine memories. But anyway, so I got home and I'm like kind of gonna die because like I haven't had protein in like several days. Like, and I'm also just hobbling around and it's like dark.
Yeah.
It's a dark time. And I remember I have these like sardines and I just like peeled open the thing and just like got a fork and just like started eating them like a feral animal. But then I remember texting you and I was like, Lucy, it's like 3 p.m. on a weekday and I just ate a can of sardines. Like, what's happening?
Like, you needed it.
Yeah. And then I did kind of feel better. And I was like, God, maybe people are like onto something with this protein thing.
Yeah, and
like,
sardines with the calcium and the
yeah,
vitamin D.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I think that because we both share that thing of going so far in the extreme, unhinged, opposite direction of most people, where you're just like deprived.
Yeah.
That then when we introduce these things into our lives, like a can of sardines, we really feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that made such a big difference.
Right. And that was what like motivated me to like keep doing it.
That's how I felt with tofu.
Right.
Because I had gone, I don't know, a decade without eating protein. And then for all sorts of reasons, but like my truly unhinged, like how did I survive my 20s era? But then when I started eating tofu, and it was the extra firm, extra protein kind, I was like, this is changing my life and I can run so much faster. And it like, I felt it so much harder.
Yeah. And for me, I was eating tofu and tempeh like before that, but I wasn't before the sardine moment. But I wasn't eating like enough of it. I was like eating like a square. And you had this thing where you're like, Hillary, like if you want to avoid like another sardine meltdown, like you need to eat like a block of tofu a day, like non-negotiable.
I literally remember walking on the phone talking to you, almost yelling at you,
like a block a day,
a block of tofu a day, 40 grams of protein, no matter what. I did that. Medicine,
bare minimum. Yeah, I remember that. That was like such a great like.
I mean, there was a time during the pandemic when I was training really hard, and I got up to 2 blocks of.
I remember that
tofu a day.
I remember sometimes you even had to like have like a couple blocks of tofu plus some fish.
I did.
You were like training so hard.
Because I was training so hard, and like to think that I went. It was like 2 extremes. I mean, I think I definitely needed the protein.
Yeah.
But I had gone from no protein for so long that then I was like, I need all the protein all the time. And just like comparing and contrasting like how that served me for athleticism was really powerful. But yeah, I think it's like interesting to see how it evolves, and also like how now all of it is just kind of like the most like, I don't know, I want to say like the most watered down, but it's like, it's all like a little bit more straightforward.
I know. I feel like
I don't have to be like, oh, 2 blocks.
I know.
Like, I can just like eat what I'm hungry for.
Right. And I do feel like exercise has helped me a lot with fueling.
Yeah. Like tuning in, like what your
body needs.
Yeah. Because I also just like had all these notions, especially when I first moved to New York as this teenager, as a model, with my life is just how I'm looking is everything. I didn't know what food was okay and what wasn't. And so I had to figure it out.
And I think like we were both really looking for like external people, like yoga teachers or Freely the Banana Girl or like whoever else to tell us like what to do. And we both just had to like kind of experiment until we found out like what works for us, which is like kind of different than like
it's a little
conventional,
different.
you know?
And like that, but that's the thing. So even now where I consider myself pretty balanced,
right?
Like even now, someone on the outside would be like, that's really restrictive.
I know. Like, I think that I'm like normal because I eat protein now. But like people are like, whoa, you have like a really weird,
so different than what most people
and
are.
even like most, like I feel like I'm a different like breed of like vegan or like plant-based than like most
people,
right?
because it's like the whole food emphasis. But part of that is because we both know what it feels like to eat stuff that like makes you feel horrible. At least for me, it's like with bread.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't eat bread? Or wow, you haven't had bread in however many years? Like
how
19
many years has it been?
Like probably 19 years. But you haven't had bread? And I'm like, you don't understand. When I eat bread, my stomach hurts for days and I'm not okay. So it's like this thing that like I've noticed as I've gotten older and wiser and in my now late 30s, I don't care what people think about what I'm choosing to eat or not eat.
No,
like I'm doing what works for me.
I don't think that they should have an opinion on it. Like maybe if you were like not thriving, they'd be like,
that's huge,
you know, but I feel like, I mean, sorry, but like not everyone does like 450
if it's
stairs.
working,
then it's working.
We don't have to explain it. But that's like such a thing that I've noticed, because I remember back in the day I always felt like almost embarrassed to be like, I don't eat that thing. But it's like I just know I'm so attuned to how it fuels, how it like makes me perform.
Feel the same. I feel the same, and I also feel the same again going back to like the mental health. Like if I eat something stupid like a Pop-Tart, like I feel like I'm gonna kill myself. It makes your
mental health struggle.
But if I eat like protein and vegetables, I feel like I can like be a human.
And like there's something about that too, where like I also think about like just being in this zone of success of like every decision that I make is setting myself up. So like at night, if I'm like, oh, maybe if I decided to eat something that was like really like wild, I don't know, something that's like gonna
like
make
some
me
chocolate chips.
Chocolate chips are definitely like on the good list, but like if I eat something that I know is gonna like set me back, I hate that feeling the next morning where I'm like, oh, my head hurts and I'm dehydrated, and it's because I ate that bag of potato chips.
That's like a trigger moment with like drinking, like waking up and feeling bad because of like what you did the night before.
The only times that I've felt like I was hungover are days after I've eaten something like crazy that doesn't 100%. Work for me, and I don't like that feeling.
I don't either. And it's also happened to me where like if I haven't eaten a thing, like if I haven't eaten enough tofu, I'll wake up and I'll feel like I'm hungover and like I didn't eat anything bad, but I just didn't eat the right thing. The other thing that I was thinking about when we're talking about this, because I feel like some people could like listen to us chatting and they're like, these women have weird relationships with food. I mean, don't we all?
Clearly. But that somebody like someone like my mom who's like probably listening to this might be like, oh, that sounds like really crazy because it's just like not normal.
Because she wakes up and she like wants like bacon and eggs
or something like normal
food.
Yes, like somebody like that, they would hear how we talk and they're like, that is so crazy. But the thing is, if we were men, no one would say that.
They would
weird.
Call it biohacking.
Yes. They would. They'd say like, this is amazing. Like we should learn about, but because we're women who talk about foods that they do and don't eat makes it like, it's like this category.
Where it becomes problematic.
Because even like when I was experimenting with like, when I first was learning about intermittent fasting and stuff, when a woman does intermittent fasting, now it's like a little bit more normalized. But there was a period where intermittent fasting, if you're a woman, was like, you have an eating disorder.
You're on a crash diet.
Which when a man does it, it's not. So like that, I'm so sick of that. But I think it is phasing out where people can just like be honest about what works for them. And like, at least I know, maybe it's because I have a lot of male friends, but they don't care. Like nobody cares if I'm like eating at a certain time and not at the other time. But yeah, like at the end of my birthday party where I was like, okay, time's up. Time for me to eat all the food.
Tell people about your birthday dinner.
Oh my God. Okay, so it was my birthday last week. And
she had a 10-hour party.
I had a 10-hour party. Jason, I'm sorry you weren't invited, but I also didn't want to put you on the spot to like come.
It was a lot, Jason.
It was a lot. Actually, my friend was like, why didn't you invite your producer? And I said, honestly, I know he would come. And I don't want to put him through that. Somebody else said it too. They're like, oh, you didn't invite me. I'm like, it's because you would have like felt like you had to come.
It was bad enough coming from Brooklyn.
Yeah, and that was
if it hadn't been like negative 11 degrees, it would have been better.
Yeah, it was the coldest day, which the party was awesome. but it was so long. And so I got to that point where
It
I
started
was like,
at 2.
started at 2 and went till like at least 10:30.
So when did you start needing dinner?
Well, I had that thing with adrenaline where like when I'm like talking to people and like I'm not gonna just sit and eat dinner like in the middle of that.
Like at
if
5.
If it was a normal me at home, I'll eat at 5. But in this instance, the time came and went, and I'm having my little seltzers and
Diet Coke.
and Diet
Let's
Coke,
be real.
and several Diet Cokes. And then I got to this point where I was like, oh my God, I did 400 and whatever stairs this morning.
Didn't you do like 4 something and then you got back on after you had
Okay. So I had like an epic stair morning.
It was a stair
because
morning.
I was excited for the party, and then I was like, I'm so hungry, and this is gonna get like weird if I don't. So then there was like this container of shrimp that
Just
was
like,
meant for the party. It was for like the, but
it was just like cold shrimp.
Yeah, but we didn't put it out because like there was already one that was out, and so I like took that and ate the entire.
So you
thing.
took like the reserve shrimp.
The reserve shrimp, and I was just like, I need this in the 3/4 of a bar of huge chocolate. It was a really interesting dinner, but the point is, I got past my like point where I'm like, okay, I need to like eat everything right now. But the party was awesome. Thanks for coming. It was interesting to have like all of the different people from my different phases, because like you know me from modeling days, from like that was my life, and I was the model, and I like really made my identity about modeling because that was the blog that you had found. But then a lot of these people know me from running, and they don't really know me. They didn't know I was a model. And that's always a funny thing too, because it's like, oh yeah,
everyone like assumed I was a runner because I was your friend. And I'm like, no, I think I'm the only non-runner here. Hi.
Yeah. And like, so it's interesting, like the different types of people that just like know you in different worlds. And even my other friend, Leanne, like she didn't really know about my running stuff as much because we're friends for other reasons. And so it's like from a different era of my life. So it's just funny when like you encounter different worlds altogether. And I was just like, everyone's here for me.
No,
but
that was a really great birthday. And like, what a year. What are you planning for
my 37th year of life? Actually, my 38th year of life.
Yeah, you're going into, a lot of people don't get that.
I know, it's over their heads.
Yeah.
But yeah, my 38th year of life. Honestly, I don't know. And I feel like there are so many people who have, I think when we were in our 20s, it was always like building for this thing that I have to accomplish. Yeah. And now I'm just kind of like happy to live and feel like, you know how we've talked about living the dream? And like, I think in our 20s, like we have these ideas of like, we have to hit this big accomplishment thing to be successful. Now successful is just being happy.
I agree. I feel like it used to be like this like chase to like this promotion or this time or like whatever. And now it's just like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because like things are like a little politically unstable and like shit's going down and climate change and like extremes.
Like the world's just
ending. I feel like the future is like less and less of a guarantee. And like my like main goal for this next year for myself, which I think you can relate to, is just trying to like extract every ounce of like joy out of every day.
Yes, and like surrounding yourself with like the right people, because I think I spent so much time trying to force friendships and be parts of groups that I didn't really want to be part of. And at the end of the day, I felt like I was the one giving more to the friendship, and now I'm like not even involving myself with those people anymore. I'm just the people that I really care about, that I want to hang out with and talk to, those are the people that I want to have around.
Exactly. And this is like coming full circle back to the lone wolf, but the lone wolf who is like kind of found a pack.
Yes. And so what's your goal now for the rest of the year? What's your next big stair climbing goal?
Oh,
now that you've cracked 454, what's the next one?
Okay.
Because I want to hit 500, and I don't know if it's possible, but I want to hit 500
If anyone can hit 500, it's you. I really believe that.
I think it might take me a couple years, but it's like, because I think it's like level 19 the entire time.
That's no joke. I think for the stairs, this goes back to the maximizing exercise. So there's a bunch of other things like I want to accomplish this next year, like in my career and with some like writing side projects. So I'm really going to focus on like maximizing the efficiency of the stairs. So I think my next goal will be like less about how many stairs I can do in an hour and more about how fast can I get to 400, because you told me that you got to 400 in 53 minutes. Yeah. And I was thinking about that today when I was at like freaking like 382 in 53 minutes, and I was like, oh, I've got to do 400
yes
in 53 minutes.
It's like the whole thing with the running where I was running 10 miles a day for those years, and then I was like, but can I get the 10 miles in under an hour? And then that was like, and little did I know that actually like represented a certain level of fitness to then run fast races. But it was more of like, how can I do this the most efficient way possible? With the stairs, the 400 club, but like making it as
compressed as possible.
Like 50 minutes.
That's what I was thinking. You read my mind.
The dream. Okay, well, we are at time. I am so happy you came on the podcast. I feel like it was like just scratching the surface, and there's a million more things that we could talk about. But hopefully you'll be back.
I hope so.
And yeah, thanks so much for coming on the show. Thanks to Florid Media, the best podcast producing studio of all times here in Long Island. Jason is amazing. That is our show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, just be fast. Just win.